I just mean that it looks like Clapton's gonna ask out Ione, which makes about as much sense as that stupid movie Torque.
No, we were friends beforehand, and I'd worked with Joseph on some treatments for TV commercials and things, and we knew we wanted to write a movie. I'd worked as a film critic for 10 years before. He kind of knew me through that. And yeah, it seemed like we were both really interested in doing a teen film because it's a genre that we both liked, the John Hughes movies. But we also like a lot of different genres. So the idea for Detention was to kind of combine those all into something fresh and new and exciting. And so it was a long process. It was 4 years working on this film together.
Well, I mean, the script took a long time. It took us a year just to figure out the story. I mean, literally, like, just beat out the thing and figure out what goes where. And then another year, it was just like sort of working on it half not because I was doing so many commercials and I was on another movie and things like that. And then, like, you know, we in the third year when I finally said, you know what, let's just do this, let's just get it over with, you know, let's push through and see what happens. And so I took 3 months off of my schedule, which is really hard to do. I'm not to say, but I mean, I'm incredibly busy with my music videos and commercials. So I just took 3 weeks off. We got together and we were like writing at 2 in the morning at a coffee shop every night. And then we got it together. And after I read it, I was like, wow, this is incredible. You know, this is it worked. You know, that thing that we created like 2 years ago actually works on paper. So I'm actually like was writing in a train and on another commercial, and an epiphany came up to me. You know, instead of going to a studio and waiting for like a year to develop this, why don't we just make it now? Why don't we just make it like without them giving any notes or anything like that? Let's do it our way, like what's on the page. And so like a month and a half later, after I decided that, we were shooting.
Most movies are kind of too confined to one genre. That's just kind of like the way Joseph and me think, that, I don't know, the way a lot of people think is, you know, their lives are lived in multiple genres. So, you know, I'm excited by science fiction films and all these other things too. And I mean, it's my natural inclination to, if I was doing a straight horror movie, it would still be funny. I think Joseph would go the same way with that. So it's just kind of, you know, the method we choose.
I also think that thematically what we came up with, you know, one of the big things that it took so long to sort of get there is that we wanted to know what the movie was about. And one of the things, as a music director, I really realized is that, I'm going to be completely honest here, movies are behind in terms of how kids think. You know, like do kids really live in a PG-13 world? You know, if you're like 17, 15, 16 years old, do you really never say the F word? Do you really walk around like never seeing a piece of nudity? You know, it's like, give me a break. Kids today are way more sophisticated than the movies that are made for them, you know? And I feel like by almost catering to a PG-13, I mean, I understand studios have to make it for a certain rating because they want to get as much money and all that possible, but, you know, if we're going to make a movie for as cheap as we did, we can take some liberties. And we know at some point kids are going to see this movie, you know? Like, they always end up seeing the R-rated movies. So on a certain level, like, why don't we just go out and make a balls-out, cool teen movie that actually, like, has teens talk the way they do, and live in a world that they do, you know. And kids, to me, don't even live in an R-rated. Some kids live in an NC-17 world, you know. The one other thing that I think that was important in terms of casting this is that, one, we did try to find amazing actors, you know. But the other thing that we did very carefully is that we didn't write the script dumb, you know. And some people might complain that, oh, these people talk too smart for teenagers. Have you seen how teenagers talk today? Like, you know, like, it's like the biggest criticism we might get possibly is that, oh, they're doing that hip Juno dialogue. We really didn't, you know. If you really look at the way they talk, and if you watch teenagers talk, they go, our film's paced really fast with the dialogue and stuff like that. Well, the reality is teenagers talk over each other. You know, if you ever watch teenagers actually talk, they're texting, they're talking, you know, there are 3 different conversations going on. They hop back and forth and stuff like that. It's that weird multitasking world that teenagers live today. And so I think one of the reasons why the actors come off so great is because, believe it or not, like, I think the script was written for kids, so kids understood that tone and the way they're talking, you know. And I remember, like, my publicist goes, "Wow, it's amazing that these kids could say those lines in such a natural like way because they seem like so hard to say, and they said it so naturally." But actually, I think if you're a kid, that's the way you really talk. You don't really talk like they do on ABC television, where it's one thing at a time, and someone takes a deep breath, and someone walks over here. No, kids talk over each other, and they're constantly making pop references. They're constantly talking the vernacular of modern pop culture because of the internet. You know, it's like kids today have so much more of a ingrained sense of pop culture that if you don't put in actual things that they talk about and you don't do it in the cadence, I think that's when it feels like a movie. You know, it's like.
Who taught you how to make a snuff porno? Lady Gaga?